All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a killer day. And with that being said, let's dive in to the TA. Very amazing stuff going on today. We did indeed start breaking up out of that consolidation that we've had going on for a couple weeks now. We are now done with the Black Mondays, done with the selling. It does look like we are finally about to push up to new all-time highs over here on QQQ. And it just so happens that the NASDAQ over here caught up to the S&P 500. They look like they're both about to break out to new all-time highs on the same day, which is probably going to be tomorrow. Weekly charts, how are those looking, you ask? Pretty insane. People thought these little, upper wicks over here were bearish. All I saw was you went to new all-time highs, pull back right off of that. Since when? All right, since when do we get, a clear as day double top that really plays out over here on the weekly time frame? You typically don't. All right, it'll make a slight lower high. It doesn't typically just do what it did over here, right? And then fall off a cliff. It normally does exactly what it did here, exactly what it did over here, where you pull back, all right? Oh, you push up new highs, you pull back. The pullback is a buying opportunity for the push to newer highs, all right? Oh, you push highs, okay, pull back. You push new all-time highs, pull back. That right there is a clear as day buying opportunity for that next move. That is what it has been for weeks now, and it is finally now starting to play out, okay? On the upside for SPY, we have 610.78. We're watching 615 and then 620 above. I do think 630 is going to be coming in the short term over here on SPY. 620 is 630 to be safe, but I do think this is a setup that, we really haven't gone anywhere for 3 months now. I think we can get a $20 push to the upside. $15 to $20 pretty much immediately, I think, can go down. Give me 620, give me 625 in the short term. I'll be a very happy man. All right. Aside from, what SPY does, though, I'm still already a very happy man. Today was a huge day. I think we are really going to have the biggest month we've had in a very long time. Me personally, I hope you guys are killing in this market. This market is hot. We know to take advantage of the market when it's hot, because there's going to be a time when we cannot do so because the market is not going to be hot. All right. Coming back over here to QQQ, let's go over some levels. Resistance, 539.15. Above 539.15, we're going to have nothing until the 545 cycle level, and then 550. I do think 550 is coming on this little, short-term leg we're about to have. I think it could happen very quick. You had increasing volume on the day. You broke out about above 533.82 resistance. You have nothing in between here and 539.15. I think that is probably going to be coming tomorrow. I'm not sure how much you gap up, but I think we're probably going to gap up with what happened today. Support, 533.82, 531.24, 528.15, and 525.97. Once we got the pullback and got bought up the next day, we knew pullbacks to the short-term moving average over here in the daily time frame were buying opportunities. We got bought up here. We knew it was very likely that things were about to be moving up. It is what it is, okay? Hindsight, 2020. Guess what? Before sight over here on this channel is also 2020. Get at me. SPY over here. We've been waiting for this move to new all-time highs for so long now. This whole freaking time over here, you push new highs. I think you're about to get bought up. Over here on this move, you go to new highs. What happens? You gap down again, take out the low, and I still got to be the guy saying, I think downside is limited. I do think we're about to get bought up. What happens? You get bought up. We get another move down. Sweet baby Jesus. I think you're about to go take out the low. I'm like, oh my God, not again. And then you finally decide to push up. Okay. Hot CPI got bought. Hot PPI got bought. We're liking what we're seeing. On the upside over here on SPY, you have 610.78, 615, 620 above there. Downside is support, 608.15. You see that's a strong level going on over here. You got your reactions. You can see very clearly over here on the hourly time frame, though. All right. 608.15, 605.36. Guys, when we busted up above this today, came back to, turning into support over here. You had the short-term moving average over here, 15-minute time frame, and the hourly time frame right here, guys. So, in the Discord, I was saying that's where I'm looking, by default, you expect buyers to step in there. Why by default? Because, guys, you had a strong level there, and when you have a nice impulsive move above the short-term moving averages, the first pullback to the short-term moving averages normally gets bought. You had the impulsive move, pull back to the moving averages, you got bought. What happened next? You sold off, but you got bought off that first initial move. Oh, you get bought up over here, you break out this consolidation, you get bought up. First test of the short-term moving averages, you got bought up. Okay, is something that typically happens. Oh, big impulsive move. First test of the short-term moving averages on the 15-minute and hourly time frame. You get bought up. I use the 15-minute and the 1 hour time frame for intraday. That is just me personally. I also use 5-minute, but you really get the whole picture here on the hourly and the 15-minute. That's SPY for you guys. New highs are incoming. Coming over here to DIA. You are hitting, sitting in here on a bull pennant, bull flag kind of looking structure over here. It's looking like you are just starting to break out. I actually pointed out yesterday with these arrows that we had a little wedge action going on here. A little consolidation. I know it's a pretty ugly one right there. But you are starting to break out of that guy over there and start pushing up to new highs. I think DIA, QQ, and SPY, they're probably going to push new all-time highs tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, probably Monday or Tuesday. But it's very likely to just continue off of what we got today. This thing is still just in consolidation. Just wait until it expands. DIA is going higher. IWM over here. What happened, guys? You lost the zone. You reclaimed the zone. You're right underneath the daily moving averages. Honestly, I'm going to say just get above 228.04 from that point. You're probably going to push 230.55. And then I imagine you're going to break this resistance right here. You sold off twice. And if you come back to test it both times, you're probably about to break it. Support and resistance like glass, guys. All right. Jump on, even if it's thick glass, jump on that glass enough, it's probably going to break. We're going to be jumping on for the third time over here. 230.55 resistance, probably going to break, probably going to head up to 233.30 after that, which is your 0.618 Fibonacci retracement from this whole move down. Okay. VIX over here, guys. You are looking like you're about to be breaking down from this pennant. We talked about this the other day in yesterday's video. I do think it is about to happen with how SPY and QQ are set up over there. From that point, we're going to be looking for a move underneath 1427, and then we're waiting on this daily RSI to get back down to 34.75. That is a spot where over the last, for years and years, like 10 to 20 years here, since going back all the way to 08, like you could just keep going back. You get down here on the daily RSI, you start bouncing back. You got to go very far back over here. This is literally 03. Every other time other than what I just showed you, 03, you hit the air within a few trading sessions, you're bouncing back on the VIX. That means anytime you get down here on the VIX, the daily RSI gets down to 34.75, you look for the market to start pulling back. That means if you're in longs, you take your profits. Okay, right now, guys, the market, okay, looks like it can rally. And VIX over here, the volatility index, this does the opposite of what the S&P 500 does. All right, it looks like it could start breaking down. It looks like we could see this thing start getting down here. So right now, the plan is, guys, you play the breakout. You play this next leg up. And you take your profits when this thing, like you really just start completely taking off your risk if you see VIX's daily RSI start getting down here. That is my play. And when I see that, I am not going to be sitting there heavy in longs. I'm not going to be, even decently, in longs. It is not a time to be in longs. Right now, though, I think everything is perfectly safe. I've thought dips, were safe to be buying opportunities over the last few weeks. I've made that extremely clear here in this channel. And now we're seeing that move actually start taking place. All those dips are buying opportunities for this move that's now taking place. What happens next, guys? We get a trending market. Okay, so these dips, if you're buying them, you could take profits into highs, and then you could put on different positions on the breakout, or you could just continue to ride out the positions you already put on at a discounted price. Regardless, the next market phase, we'll call it here, is about to be playing out, which is a trending move, which is, that next leg up. That is the move that I think we're about to get to play. So there's that. All right, moving over here, the Mag 7 stocks, Tesla. All right, I just want to remind everyone, guys, the market likes to get the loudest at pivot points, at turning points, pivot points, reversals, whatever you want to call them. They get the loudest. I swear to gosh, they do it every single time. It was the same thing over here on Nvidia. Nvidia is now 20% higher, where I was telling you that it was a clear as day buy. All right, people were saying, oh, it's going to $100. I was saying it doesn't make sense if it goes down to $100, and the absolute perfect spot to bounce back from. It's either here, you go to 100 and you're going lower. And I didn't think you were going lower. I was willing to put a decent chunk of change on right over here. We're probably going to be getting, catching a bit over here. And now we are at 20% higher. What about Tesla, you ask? Well, it's saying right over here. This is a buy between 320 and 340. I was thinking Tesla was going to bottom out. I made that call when we started breaking down somewhere over here. Where did we bottom out? Where was the bottom, you asked? The low was 320.07. Guys, I promise the market gets the loudest right when things are about to start changing. Do not listen to the freaking noise. Keep your eye on the prize, which is the charts. You play with the charts. You understand the psychology of the charts and what each of these moves mean, and you're going to have a good time trading it. Okay? I promise you, we've been on the right side of these things for months and months, years at this point. Okay? If you are uncertain of where, that market sentiment is, of where what's going, is this a good spot to buy? Okay? Just ask me. If you're in the community, just let me know. All right? Just leave in the ticker request tab. There we go. If you want to ask me down here in the YouTube comments, all right? I do my best to help everybody out. Okay? I will tell you, hey, these are the thoughts. I'll give a quick little summary. It only takes me like 30 seconds to a minute. You know what? Put some stocks on my radar. I got no issue with that, guys. Let me know. Okay? Shoot me a DM on Twitter. But I promise, it's always going to be the loudest at bottoms and at tops. That is how it was. And I was with it over here. I was part of it being the loudest over here. And over here, it was very clearly, hey, daily hard size oversold. This thing's about to spike back up to probably 384.29. I think it's probably what's about to happen. We hit 358.64. That was the first target. Above here, 373.04 and then 384.29. Those are the next two targets. Now, here's what we're not taking into account right here. You're printing a weekly freaking hammer candlestick off of the weekly 21 EMA right above the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement. Then if you just come over to extended hours, you almost hit that. You had the 4-hour RSI at the same exact spot. It started to bounce back from last time. You had the daily RSI hit oversold territory. And you also bounced right off of 326.59 support. If you start reclaiming these short-term moving averages, if you can get above 384.29 next week, I think this thing is going a lot higher. I think it's going to be pushing 414.50 in the short term. But you got to get over this hump right here. This is the weekly 9 that's in here. You're finding off buyers off the weekly 21. So right now, you're either going to do this, all right, or you're going to do this. And we get some V-shape action. One or the other. Not sure how it's going to go, but I will gladly prepare you guys for what is about to go down. Nvidia has came back to retest our 127.67 and 131.26 zone. You have now flipped it into support. You flipped into demand. You then broke above 135 resistance. You're probably heading to 137.84. Not 137.84. We'll just call it 137.85 in the short term. That's the 0.618 fib here from this whole move down. And then right above there, you have 141.90. I think that is also going to be tested. But you can see on the weekly time frame, it looks pretty sick, right? Well, on the daily time frame, I want to point out, actually, that changed today. Okay, it changed today. You had increasing volume on the day, but I want to point out up until today, you had straight up, this whole rally was on declining volume. Not a good sign, but you did start to flip that trend today. So we'll see what happens. Meta over here, guys, you just broke out above this range right here. All right, 710.79. All the way up into 725.01. This is a $14 range. That brings you up to just about $740. I think that is probably about to go down. On the daily time frame, we could see this literally broke out to a new high, came back to retest it, pulled back to the daily 9 over here, and just got bought up. Nothing bearish about that. Probably going to continue grinding higher. I think 740 is incoming. Nothing bearish about this weekly chart. Pullbacks remain buying opportunities. Google over here. All right, starting to reverse off of 183.79 support, broke above 186.83. With that being said, I do think you're going to test 190.34 now in the short term. Weekly candle can turn into a hammer candlestick, and we could see some upside into the following week, or we consolidate and then see the upside. Not sure how that goes, but again, found buyers right off the weekly 21. People are getting bearish at bottoms. Don't be that guy. And if you are questioning yourself and you're like, am I doing it? Am I doing it? Just come onto the channel. I'll tell you if you're doing it or not. People think I'm just bullish all the time. People forget that I call for pullbacks too. All right. When I see things, I call for things. I'm always ready for these things. If you see a fucking pardon my French. I don't know why I said that. If you see a candle like this print on a Friday, all right, maybe you should be a little more risk off into the weekend. You got Black Monday the next week. You got this going on over here. Well, what happened into the following week? We were looking for downside. We were looking for the continuation to the downside. We were looking to buy the dip for that, move back up. Same thing over here. This dip came and we said, hey, the past 2 dips have been Black Monday, Black Swan type events, and they've both been bought. And then we had a bunch of freaking events to sell off over here, and they've been bought. This is nothing. The market has spoken. It's probably about to get bought up again. What happened? It got bought up again. Do not go against the trend. Just don't. It's extremely bullish right now. It's going to break out. People think I'm crazy. I said 580 on QQQ in the thumbnail. Why is there this 580 target? Why? Because that's where it's headed. All right? I'm not saying it goes straight there, but at the end of the day, it is probably going to have one sick, nasty rip up here, 560 to 580 over the following weeks. And I think it's going to go something like this. All right? That's a $50 rip. People think, oh, it's just going to slightly overtake because everything's so bearish behind the theme. It's so bearish. You're going to slightly overthrow the highs, get everybody long again, and then you're going to tank. Guys, the market just had so many opportunities to actually have like we had flash crashes going on. We could have actually seen a legitimate big sell start up on the weekly charts, and they were averted. You found buyers at the perfect spots. You're not pushing new highs. You're getting ready for the next leg up. It's not going to just sweep the highs and then pull back and, fall off a cliff over here. No, it's not going to trap the bulls. You trap the bears every single dip this time around, and now you are continuing up the highs. All of these were bear traps. You're going up the highs. Do not be on the wrong side of that move. MAGS ETF only has the Magnificent 7 in the ETF. It is in a bull flag. What happens when this breaks out? You are going to have Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, Meta, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft all having more buying pressure than they currently have on them. All right? You're going to see plenty of fuel for NASDAQ to continue pushing through new highs with the Mag 7 all working together. What happens when Tesla has a full-on reversal? What happens when, we'll just go over the reversals first. You have Tesla with the reversal. You have Amazon with the reversal. You have Google with the reversal. You have Microsoft with the reversal after it just sold massively. You have Nvidia leading the pack. You have Meta leading the pack. You have Apple leading the pack. What happens when everything runs at once? You get a recipe for new highs. I went over this in the previous video. I'm sorry people don't want to listen. I'm sorry if I'm a little dickhead and I want to, just really make my point. But at the same time, people have been so bearish on this market for so long. I'm finally getting confirmation that I've been completely right the whole time. All right. Goog expected to be bought. 190.34 to 193.31. Probably going to test in the short term there. Key is going to be the weekly close here. If you close out with the weekly hammer, expect it to be bought. Microsoft, you're probably going to close out with the weekly hammer. If the QQ is, the NASDAQ is going to push new highs tomorrow, you're probably going to get bought up over here on Microsoft. This probably prints a weekly hammer candlestick, and you got bought up right at the perfect freaking spot at your demand zone, 405.57 to 410.29. We knew to be watching this spot. You have the 4-hour RSI already in oversold territory. All right. You have this bullish divergence building out there. Daily RSI is in the same spot. It's been bouncing back for a very long time now. It's probably about to bounce back. I'm really liking upside right now. The video, we already went over it. Meta, we went over it. Apple, what do we got cooking over here in Apple, guys? I think you're about to take out the 247.33 high. I said in yesterday's video, guys, above 237.23, we're talking 240.79. Above there, you have absolutely nothing until 247.33. That's where I think is coming right now. You have heavy volume over the coming, over these past few days. I think you're going to have increasing volume here on the week. This is going to close out with a monster weekly candlestick. Expect this to continue up to new highs following this week if it closes out new highs. I'm really liking how it looks. SMH over here, does that weekly chart, we'll just come back over this. Does this look bearish? No. You swept the low of the range. I know you swept the high over here. A little fake out, and you came right to the bottom. Well, guess what? Now you had the fake out on the bottom. You're coming up to the top. The thing is probably about to push up to 262.26. That's what I'm looking for. Chips are probably going to continue being good. Avco, this is one that, I personally started on today. I do think this thing is about to break out. You now have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-day range. I think it's extremely likely this is about to have that impulsive next move up, that next little leg here on the daily chart to get you up to 251.88. And once the daily chart has that leg up out of this range, you're going to break out of this range over here on the weekly chart. And at that point, you have another leg up on your hands. Now, earnings are right around the corner, so I do like 321 contracts, but just realize they're going to be juice premiums, and you have to be willing to pay those if you're going to be playing this. Earnings will always have, premiums up. Yeah, going up the wazoo, all juiced up and stuff going into the events, and for good reason. All right, a lot of big moves happen on earnings, and you never know. But that's why I personally don't like playing into earnings. But I do want to talk about a trade idea at the end of the video that I am probably going to put on. I'm going to talk about 2 scenarios on how I'm going to be playing it. But AVGO above 237.93, you're talking 251.88 in the short term. This, all right, is $15. This range is $11. $11 move. If you get the measure move from the range, you're almost to 251.88, and at that point, it's going to be a magnet. You come up to new highs. AVGO, most bullish chip in my personal opinion. Just look at the weekly chart. Do not tell me this is a bearish chart. This thing is screaming new highs. AMD over here. All right. Still underneath the short-term moving averages. I told you I want to see something like this. I want to see the impulsive move above them, and then I want to see come back and confirm them. You want to pull back to the daily 9, and you want to bounce higher off that. Until that happens, we ain't going to be looking at this thing as, a bullish chart over here. It is what it is. I know people want it, but guess what? It is not worth touching until that happens. Why are you going to go against things? Just wait until you have a very clean impulsive move that you can buy the pullback on, and then you can ride up. MU over here, guys, really not looking bad at all after today. You did fill that gap. You pushed right up to that 95.53 to 97.41 zone that you were sitting up above for a little while, and then you broke back underneath it. You're getting back above the short-term moving average over here on the daily time frame, but if you close out with a weekly hammer, I have to assume you're probably going to push next week. So I do think above 97.41, you could start pushing back up to the upper end of that range. But first, above 97.41, you got 178, $100.78, and then 106.74. TSM, guys, I would say this is one of the uglier names of the bunch right now, but I'll just point out on why I have the arrows on my chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's 5 out of 5 most recent times that you got buyers starting to step in around this 21 EMA on the weekly time frame. If you bought the 21 EMA all of these times and just gave it, all of these times except for 4 out of 5 occurrences, you were green the next week, very green. You got bought up exactly from there. All right. But 1 out of 5 times you had to sit in red for 2 weeks, and then you got bought up from there, and you ended up still being able to make out with like 15% on that position. Okay. I don't know if this gets bought up immediately over here, but I will point out buyers step in and off the 21 EMA 3 weeks in a row. Well, 2 weeks, and this third week we're coming back to test this, so we'll see if they continue getting showing up there and buying up price. But over here on the daily chart, it really is looking pretty ugly until you could reclaim 206.61. Above 206.61, you have 212.60. At above 212.60, things look a whole lot better for this chart. This whole mess is out the way. And above 212.60, you go to 220.96 and then 226.40. All right. Now, let's talk about some things that I think are worth mentioning. First of all, congratulations. Congratulations. SERV. Serve and Tesla are my little babies this week. That's how this is. I'll just tell you right now, guys, and ASTS. That was a little nice guy. But the current baby is SERV and Tesla. Okay, I got 2 twins right now. 2409 is very likely coming tomorrow. If you pull back tomorrow, however, and you decide to push into next week, if you pull back tomorrow, you're going to push into next week. That's what I'm getting at. It either goes like this from here. You pull back to, right over here, 21.23, or you are going to just continue higher. I think it's very likely that you just continue higher. Now, this thing, I know we already played the move, and by the time it hits here, we're going to be up almost 100%. I understand. I do. But I'm just telling you, we might have gotten in early on this guy over here on the breakout. But I think you are still early to this move. I think once this breaks 2409, I think this thing goes for freaking fireworks. I think this can go 30 to 40 real quick. Let's just look at it this way. If this thing closes, if you break above here, tomorrow and you close at, we'll say 25 to 27 bucks, you have a big, another 10 to 20% day tomorrow. You close out with a nice solid weekly candlestick over here. Guess what? That following week, you probably are going to hit it with another 20, 30%. So what happens if you close out right here? The following week, you still probably go another at least 20%. That brings you up to 30 beans. Because that's a lot of freaking money to be made over here. We talked about it early on, and this thing is probably about to start really moving. Some of these things, once they break out these bases, they can go. Okay, they can really freaking move. HIMS, I gave it to you over here. I mentioned it all along the way. I kept mentioning it. And now here it is, double of what I originally gave it to you at, underneath 30 bucks. It had a 27.71% day today and went insane. I think it is going higher. I don't know if it's going to pull back in the short term. Probably is just going to grind out. But that pullback, whenever this thing does decide to finally base out for like, a couple weeks here, give us another setup. This is a clear as day winner. So we will keep it on the radar. All right. But that is what I think this thing over here, SCRV, can do. I think this thing legit can start a big breakout and really start moving like some of these, top runners we see a lot here. All right. ASTS, this is another one I'm paying attention to. I started getting back in today. And I'm just telling you right now, I think that's probably all she wrote for the pullback. If this thing manages to close the weekly candle out towards the high, you're probably going to continue higher the following week up to new highs, 39.08. I think that is incoming here. If you were a buyer down here with me on the breakout right here that morning, then you were a seller up here at the first target at 30.55 because that is your 0.618 Fibonacci retracement from this whole move down. You got your pullback reversion to the mean, and now it's time for, stage 2 of this move, which is that continuation up to a new high. And then it's time for that stage 3 of the move, which is playing the actual breakout, which these can be explosive. I don't know exactly how this is going to go, but I'll tell you right now, the reason we were keeping it on the radar this whole time, and I was just waiting patiently for the breakout, was because it's been consolidating for 5 to 6 months. At some point, this is going to have a big move back to highs really quick, and options are going to move amazing on that move. Heavy volume over here the past few weeks. I think this continues up to 39.08. Probably next week, but we'll just say next 1 to 2 weeks to be safe over here. Netflix, pull back. I told you Netflix and Costco, they were set up the same. They're just pulling back to their daily 9s. Netflix was ready for that next leg up. Now it is having the next leg up. I'd say 1050 to 1060 in the short term here. That's probably going to be how this goes tomorrow. Probably honestly going to go 1060 to 1070 in the short term. Coming over here to cost, it was the same exact thing. I thought, you were coiling up here, you're getting ready for the next move up. And now with how this is looking, guys, you close out the week strong. This thing's probably going to hit 1,100, our target over here from this whole breakout, this measure move. All right. That was the target. We were going to be playing for that. I personally didn't play it. I wanted to. I was salty. I missed out. And then it just kind of kept going. And it has not pulled back. You consolidated. You did not pull back. I think it's about to hit that target. Okay. Once it pulls back, this is a clear as day buying opportunity. Whatever this looks like, it is a clear as day setup, just waiting to print your money. So we keep it on the radar. Now, this is what I was saying. I'm considering holding a position into earnings here, but I wasn't sure how this is going to really play out here. I really just want to wait until after earnings. And I think if you get a gap up off of earnings here, all right, or you start that move off of earnings, I think you can have a breakout on your hands, and I think we could get some explosions to play. We could get a nice breakout on our hands that has that nice trendy move to it that continues on up to 120. So I'm not sure exactly how this will play out, but if you do continue lower into earnings next week on Thursday, February 20th, and you undertake this 80-20 low over here, and daily RSI is right down 32, 80-ish, right over here, 33 we'll call it, I'm going to buy that thing. And I'm going to hold it through earnings because I think it's probably, I don't think it's going to sell off of that if you get the daily RSI oversold right before earnings. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I'm going to be a buyer on this. And I've been holding back on this. You had the inverse head and shoulders pattern over here started breaking down. But you're finding buyers over here. So we're going to see how this weekly candle closes out. If you close out with a nice weekly hammer candlestick heading into next week, honestly, I can see this thing very clearly breaking above this high off earnings and then, continuing over here. But is it best at that point just to wait until after earnings? It's up to you at that point. But the setup is definitely fantastic. All right. Inverse head and shoulders, big base breakout, years of consolidation you're breaking out from, 2 to 3 years of consolidation you're breaking out from. This thing's going to get bought up. Just wait for it. Affirm, you're getting that, second week of continuation. I think tomorrow's probably going to be a decent day. Why? Because these falling candles over here, the weekly candles after these big breaks here, you typically get another big candlestick. I think this could be another, I think we get a 5 to 10% mover over here tomorrow. At that point, you're at least getting up to 83.57. That would look more, on par with what I was thinking this was going to turn into. But clear as day on the daily time frame over here. You're wound up. Earnings is out of the way. So if you want to play short-term contracts, they don't have the IV being pumped over there. You do not have juiced up premiums right now. Like, obviously, you have a big move, so premiums are juiced, but they're not juiced to the gills because of earnings, pricing in some insane move. Now you can actually trade into the end of the week up to 83.57. All right, so that's an idea for you. All right, and aside from that, guys, I really am just, keeping this MCD over here on watch. I don't know exactly how this is going to pan out, but I'm looking for this consolidate for a little bit here. Hopefully for, another week or so, really build something out. I wanted to pull back all the way over to 302, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But if it does, so picture perfect right here. Buy it off of that. It would be picture perfect. But regardless, it's pretty obvious this thing wants to head up to new highs. I hope it consolidates and builds something out for me so I can, comfortably play that move. But, a $10 move over here on MCD options on 321 contracts is about 100% gain. So honestly, just buying here, I wouldn't do that. I would wait for, I want to build out something. I want to buy towards the bottom of the range, and then I want to ride this up. So I might just, start a position over here at 305 and then, finish it off if I get down to 302. And then wait on that. But, April contracts, that's an idea that's pretty safe, in my personal opinion, to ride out the new highs. You're probably not going to stop right here at the highs. You're probably going to go a little higher, 320, 325, and get a nice, 70 to 100% gain over there in April contracts if you're buying over here at 306 down to 302. I'm liking it. So that's my idea. Bob over here continuing to be bought up. I think you're going higher. All right. That is all I have for you guys today, other than Uber. I'm going to flash Uber right now. I think you close out the week strong, and I think you're gonna head up to 87, like I was talking about in yesterday's video. It was either yesterday or the video before that. I think it was yesterday because we had this. I think you're gonna head up to 87 sooner than later, probably over the next few weeks, 1 to 2 weeks. Another one to keep on your radar. I put this on your radar yesterday. I said probably not the best idea just to be buying over here, but if you're buying time, if you're playing this on how I was talking about, you're buying the breakout right here without a pullback, please make sure you're buying some time on it. I do think it's going to come up to $100 pretty soon over here. It had a, almost 15% move the past 2 days in a row. Give us another one, you're almost at $100. All right, so pullbacks are buying opportunities over here. Clear as day winner. Big volume on this move. Very likely going 100 and then 120. 120 is the measured move target over here. $130. Oh my God, what am I talking about? $130. $43. I'm sorry. End of the video. It's okay. $43 right there. Take 43, add it on top of there, and you're right up there at 120. All right. So that's what I got for you in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And with that being said, if you want to come trade with me, the link is down below. I hope everybody has a lovely rest of their day. And I really do hope everybody's freaking killing in this market. I hope you make it so much money. And yeah, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.